Hi, this is Victor Cruz, Super Bowl champion New York Giants, and I got to get my ICTV.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to P&P Sports. Martino Puccio, Matt Lasella alongside with you here today on a nice... It's getting a lot cooler.
Yeah, feels like
Honestly,
feels like fall.
it's really, finally fall.
Finally.
Autumnal equinox was last week or a couple days ago. I have no idea.
Something like that.
Like that.
I don't even know what that means. What you just said.
Equinox.
Yeah. Chevy Equinox.
Autumnal. Oh, I can't say autumn.
Autumnal?
It's fall. Autumnal equinox.
Yeah, like
same
September
thing
21st,
as
right. Starts fall or
yeah.
22nd. Every calendar is different. I was
don't know. I think it was pushed back this year. Okay, so anyways, going into this, Kevin Garnett obviously announcing that he is retiring, not playing this season, just retiring straight up right now. Will join Tim Duncan and Kobe for that retirement class of 2021 for the Hall of Fame. All three first ballot Hall of Famers, no question. And Paul Pierce also announced that he will be retiring after this current season with the Los Angeles Clippers. So anyways, KG, if you were to rank him with not just players in his generation, but players in throughout history of the NBA at power forward, where would he be? Would he be top 5?
KG? Yeah. For me, with KG, the thing is, I would never deny someone their greatness. You know, I wouldn't take that away from him. Can't stomach KG in even the slightest bit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like him. Fierce competitor, great player. Will never take that away. Obviously, you know, the mellow KG thing and, you know, all that kind of stuff contributes to it a little bit. There's just some things about KG I don't like, but he has to be top 5 power forward.
Well, it's one of those things that you hate him if he's not on your team, but you love him if he's on your team. He was the epitome of that, I think, of any athlete. I think, kind of like a Brady. In that sense, but he was the most fierce competitor. He never stood back from anyone. He's really old school kind of guy.
Yeah.
He was the perfect Celtic.
Right.
He completely changed the fortunes of that franchise.
Good mentor.
In more than one way. He was a great mentor. He also got them a championship. He was Defensive Player of the Year, and then when he got traded with him, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry, depending on how Danny Ainge obviously drafts and where those lottery balls fall, it could be potentially the biggest robbery of a trade of all time in any sport.
Right.
So when you think and look back on it, the guy has an MVP, as many as Kobe, right? Defensive Player of the Year. Not many people have both.
Right. This is true.
Ever. The only one I can think of on top of my head right now are Duncan and MJ that I could really think of. Because I'm pretty sure Tim Duncan won Defensive Player of the Year.
Tim Duncan does have a Defensive Player of the Year. Very early in his career.
Earlier, yeah. That's when he got his MVPs.
Right.
KG got his MVPs earlier in the career.
Yeah.
What I remember most about him was on how great he made a crappy Minnesota team look.
Yeah.
He really got them to the playoffs sometimes, and it's really more impressive than what most guys do these days.
It's more impressive.
He really was
it's more
that
impressive
great.
Than Anthony Davis getting them there, getting New Orleans there once.
I think it's,
I
think so.
Or someone from the East carrying, you know, because you can't. Can you name one person on those Minnesota? You can't name one person on those Minnesota teams.
I mean, Latrell Sprewell was there. There was Marbury for a tiny bit of time. You really can't think of any off the top of your head.
In the small tiny market up in Minnesota,
and
were the expansion? No, they weren't expansion.
Yeah, they weren't. They were Minnesota. Minneapolis used to be the Lakers.
The Lakers, right?
The Lakers. They lost them, and they got the T-Wolves, who just now it seems as if their fortunes are changing.
Oh yes,
hopefully. But the crazy part about that was he stuck it out for a long time. He really did. And people that try and compare their big three to the Heat big three or what the Warriors are doing now, it was a trade. There were 2 trades. They traded for Ray Allen. They gave up the 3rd overall pick for that. And they also traded a bunch of players, Al Jefferson included, for Kevin Garnett. So when he went there, that would have been a three-peat if he didn't get hurt in the second season where he missed all of the playoffs. That that was really unfortunate for them. But I just remember it was a solid, like, check him off for a double-double and maybe 2 to 3 blocks a night, depending on the team they played.
Yeah.
He was, I say, just as good defensively as Tim Duncan was.
And I think he flew under the radar a lot, and a lot of people forget. I mean, KG gets lost in a lot of conversations, let's be honest.
I think he had the least help of all time out of any superstar Hall of Famer, if you really, really think about it.
That's a lot of things to think about, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
Ewing, I can give you. Patrick Ewing might have had. He didn't have that much help if you really look back on it.
He didn't have that much, but he had a couple pieces. You know, he had Allen Houston at the end.
But if you really think about it, a guy of KG's caliber,
no,
MVP defensive,
you're right.
He had nothing until he went to Boston.
Right, and I think he gets lost in a lot of conversations. Maybe because of who he was, maybe not. I'd like to think that's not actually what it is.
He wasn't flashy at all.
He wasn't flashy. He was show up, do your job.
Same thing as Duncan. It's just as less rings.
Right. Playing in Minnesota has a lot to do with it also. I mean, obviously he came to Boston.
Minnesota as a basketball market is rough.
Right. And it's changing somewhat now, you know, with
hopefully they can, because Minnesota's not a bad sports town. Minnesota's a really good sports town.
Yeah, it is.
When the Twins are playing well, they're great.
Yep.
Vikings fans are awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's been a while since the Twins, but you know,
yeah,
but still, you got the late '90s.
If you ever, the early '90s.
The early '90s, and then you got
even the Kirby Puckett teams were amazing.
Yep. And then even more recently, you know, 6-7 years ago, when you had Morneau and you had Bauer and
the Kadire,
you still had Torrey Hunter, and right,
yeah, they were really good teams.
As of late, not good, but yeah, Vikings fans are great. Vikings are consistently. Consistent, really. They're always in contention, good defense, you know, whatnot. And so it is evolving as a as a sports town, but I think part of the reason he does get forgotten is because he was playing there in a rough era for the city.
So I did a poll for before we get to Paul Pierce really quick. I did a poll on whether or not the Celtics should actually retire Kevin Garnett's number. And I think let me pull it up right here. As of a couple minutes ago, it was 67% no, 33% yes, and that's what it stays at. What did you vote for? You voted no?
I have not voted yet.
If I were to,
if I was going to vote, which I'm going to, would probably still vote no. I think that he just didn't have.
It's a little strange having his number retire for 2 teams.
Right, and he didn't have a long career at the Celtics. He had an effective career.
It's 5 to 6 years.
It is.
With a team, he won a championship, Defensive Player of the Year, multiple All-Star games, changed the whole fortune of the franchise. I don't know, as a Celtics fan, I want to say yes, but I want to say no. But if you compare it to any other franchise, if a guy comes there for 6 years, even like a guy like Cespedes, he comes for 6 years.
Right.
Even like he compared to Piazza. Piazza was pretty much split with them and the Dodgers. He made such a big impact, even not winning a title.
He did.
They had to retire it because he was one of their best players
of
ever. Him and Paul Pierce were the best players since Larry Bird on the Celtics. Yeah, Ray Allen too. Throw it in there. They were the best players since then. They won him a championship. How many teams, we talk about it all the time, have actually won a championship in the NBA, let alone just for the Celtics?
It's so strange because something
I'm fine with it either way.
Of course, Pierce gets retired. Duh.
Has to.
But something about it doesn't seem like it.
He's Minnesota's guy,
right? Because I mean, number wise and length of career, Minnesota has.
I remember him as number 21.
Of course.
I remember him as number 21.
Yeah, exactly. So do I. I feel like it's again for some reason I don't know what it is with KG why we're not He's a superstar by every definition of the word.
The tail end of it's because of what they remember at the end.
Well, this is why you take people like Kobe's a kind of not really a great example, but I think probably the best example is Calvin Johnson going out on top before you wither away, and all that. Shaq, the same thing. Look at the end of Shaq's career. Last 4 years.
Him and Kobe were last of their kind in terms of competitiveness. And
Duncan doesn't get forgot like that because he still played and he still
5
played
rings,
big minutes.
Best player in his position of all time.
But Shaq is like that too. The last 4 years was garbage.
No one remembers that Shaq though.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't.
Boston and Cleveland and Phoenix, and it's just like why it was a weird time. It was a weird time, and I think just the last 2 years of him being in Minnesota where he really didn't play much.
It was really when he got traded to Brooklyn. That was
Well,
it.
yeah,
because
because
Brooklyn
it
didn't
was
do much
so
in the playoffs.
bad.
It was bad. But
And then not playing really much in Minnesota, being more of the mentor and stuff like that. I think that
very
contributes.
important and underrated for them there. Okay,
Right.
quick. We want to get in on Paul Pierce really quick. I mean, we could do this at the end of school year anyways and recap it because he's still got a full
He's
year
still got
left.
a full year, right?
As a Knicks fan, having gone up against him so many times, having seen him put a dagger in their heart so many times, the truth, where does he rank in terms of guys was he the best player in the division growing up as for a rival that you remember? Maybe Allen Iverson better. I give you Allen Iverson. But in
Iverson's
terms
a
of
little-
players on like the Nets, the Raptors, the 76ers, and the Celtics, was he that guy that
Yeah,
were like,
he
oh
has
God.
to be that guy because Iverson's a little before that time a bit.
It was a bit
It was a bit
before his
before, and
time.
I was still
His
small.
prime.
I didn't really start watching basketball much probably until I was 9 or 10 years old. If Bosch had stayed with Toronto, maybe. But
Bosch was really good, but when Paul Pierce
I mean, but
did awesome
I mean,
with
you
some of the
could-
teams he had.
if you take Indiana and you take Miami, way more of Knicks rivals than the Raptors and Sixers.
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So I
In this-
and
yeah.
Brooklyn.
Yeah. Oh, well, that was
New
never
Jersey,
really a thing.
right?
It never,
Yeah, it never.
just because they're both horrid.
Yeah,
but any,
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to say Pierce. Yeah, because it's. I mean, not hated or anything.
I
Again,
think he
great player and-
was the most underrated clutch player of all time.
So clutch.
I think he really was. It was like you'd expect it from Kobe. He's kind of like a Robert Horry.
Yeah.
Too, went right place, right time. He was that good, and just like KG.
Right, 'cause he was the guy.
He was one of the best. He's in that weird generation, but you could say he was. You could argue. I'm trying to think of other small forwards during that generation. Maybe T-Mac. It's just them two, really,
Yeah.
that you could really think of, because LeBron's a different generation. LeBron's
Yeah,
he's his
not
own.
in any of the conversations. with
No, he's the
anybody, 'cause
D
it's-
Wade Bosch era.
Right.
That's that generation. I think with Paul Pierce, he went toe to toe with LeBron when LeBron was at his
Yes, he
apex
did.
too. Even
Yes, he
till
did.
even till the very end, those teams
Yes, he did.
were even the last teams that even did anything against LeBron.
Yeah.
Not just LeBron on the Heat, LeBron on the Cavs.
Right.
Like, they took him to Game 7 when they didn't even have a shooting guard. Avery Bradley was out, Ray Allen was out. They took him to Game 7
Yes.
on those old guys, and that's what I'll remember them as. Not just because they played for my team, it's because they were actually that good,
Right.
and how that dynasty of what could have been.
Yeah.
And it shows you how hard it is to win a chip anyways.
Oh yeah. I mean,
because look at the Heat. With that roster, they only won twice.
they only won twice.
They went 2-2,
And
but still.
I mean, if you gave that team 4 years, it was right. You give that team more time. Do they?
Yeah,
win
they
more?
were never. They never were
Do
in
they
their
win
prime
more?
together.
Yeah, and do they win more? Probably not, because Bosch is done now, or at least with the Heat, he's done.
He should retire in general. That's a different topic.
That's a
but
different topic.
He should
Yeah.
just retire.
So they probably wouldn't have put together really, maybe one more, depending on how many years it was, another 2 or 3, because then Golden State came into play, and now, that's a whole
Yeah,
other thing.
well, the whole dynamic of the league changes, but when you have a talent like that, it's going to be hard to beat no matter who comes along. But that'll wrap it up for this segment. KG, Paul Pierce, definitely both surefire Hall of Famers, had great careers. Going to be a long time before we see anyone like KG. Paul Pierce, I have a feeling we'll see someone like that soon.
Yeah.
He's definitely can be replicated, but KG is just a whole different monster, and he was
KG
one of my
Pump Fake.
favorite players ever. So that'll wrap it up for that. We're going to be coming back next with Jets and Giants and recapping their horrid Sundays for their fan bases alike. PMP Sports, back after this.